everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am very excited to bring you my very first book haul on this channel, and honestly I'm a little scared because there's quite a few books in this haul. These were books that I purchased throughout the month of December and into January, mainly because I got some pretty substantial gift cards from Amazon, so I decided to use all of them on books. Also, I just got a haircut, which I'm super excited about. I really like it. I hope you do too. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So the first few books I got are actually from the library, and the first one I got is Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I don't really know much about this series. I just know that this is a series that a ton of people have been talking about on BookTube, and Seanan McGuire also writes under the name of Mira Grant, and I've read one of her books before, Into the Drowning Deep, and I really enjoyed it. So I just decided to give this series a chance, and I checked it out from my local library. What I do know about this book series overall is that there are 4 books total, and essentially the whole series centers around the aftermath of children going into some type of like fantastical lands. It kind of reminds me of like the Chronicles of Narnia. But yeah, as you'll find out through this video, I don't know a ton about these books that I've bought or checked out from the library because I really like to go into books without knowing all that much. I just tend to enjoy them the most that way. So yeah, super excited about this one. I'll probably be able to read it in like a day because there's only like 150 pages or so. The next book I checked out is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is a book that, again, a lot of people have been talking about on BookTube. Again, don't know much about this one. All I know is that this is about Simon, who is a teenager who is not so openly gay, but he ends up getting blackmailed by a fellow peer of his to kind of do his bidding. That's really all I know about this book. But I've read one of Becky Albertalli's books in the past. I read The Upside of Unrequited by her last year, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would really enjoy this one as well. And the last book that I checked out from my library is Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. This one I really don't know much about. I thought this was just a YA contemporary, but my library has it classified as a fantasy novel, so I think it is a YA contemporary with like magical realism elements to it. But yeah, I've just heard a lot of people, especially Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads, rave about this book, and it's also the book of the month for January for the Sassy Book Club. Okay, so now onto the books that I actually purchased. The first group of books that I got are the first 4 volumes of the Sailor Moon manga series. And so I'm just going to quickly show you what the covers of each volume look like. This is volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and finally volume 4. So they recently put all of the Sailor Moon manga or comics into 12 complete volumes that look like novels like this. Sailor Moon was something that I enjoyed as a child with the TV show from the late 90s, and they actually remade the TV show, but that new version, I think it's called Sailor Moon Crystal or Sailor Moon Crystal Moon, something like that. That series is only in Japanese with English subtitles, but I remember watching at least the first season of that one on Hulu and really enjoying it. And so basically I thought that this series of manga would be a good way for me to get into the genre because I've never read any manga before. I don't know why I keep saying manga because it's clearly manga, right? But yeah, I decided to just buy the first 4 volumes to see how I liked them, and then if I really liked them, I'd keep buying more until I had the complete set of 12 volumes. The next book I purchased is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. This is yet another book that a lot of booktubers have been talking about, and the premise seemed like something right up my alley. Over the past few months, I have really gotten into YA fantasy, and so when I heard about this book, I was really excited. This is yet again a book that I don't know that much about, except that there is like a demon king involved and the main character falls in love with another woman. So I'm really interested to see how this story plays out, and I'm actually really excited that this is a series. The next 2 books I got are Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares, also by Laini Taylor. All I know about this duology is that it follows Laszlo Strange, who is a junior librarian, and he is obsessed with this mythical city called Weep, but so many people on BookTube have been talking about this duology. I actually didn't think I was ever going to read this duology. It just didn't seem like something that I would be that interested in, especially hearing people talk about how Laini Taylor's prose is very flowery. I'm not sure that that's something I'm necessarily going to like, but I decided to go ahead and buy these books because I personally love to tab and annotate fantasy series because I really like to keep track of plot lines and characters so I don't get confused basically when I move on to the next book in a certain series. But I am really looking forward to this nonetheless. Next, I purchased the entire Ember in the Ashes series by Sapiens, so that includes An Ember in the Ashes, A Torch in the Night, and A Reaper at the Gates. So this series, I believe, is all about the Martial Empire, which is compared to like the Roman Empire. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this series follows 3 different POVs. So we have Leia, whose brother has been arrested for treason. And then there's also Elias, who is a soldier. And then there's a third POV, I think, maybe like some kind of royalty, maybe a princess. I really can't remember. But so many people have been raving about this series, and the plot really does seem intriguing. I know that this plot also features like a military academy that maybe all of the characters go to. But yeah, I'm going into this series pretty much completely blind, but I'm really excited to see how this all plays out. Next, I purchased these beautiful UK editions of the Nevermore series. So this is the first book, Nevermore, which is The Trials of Morgan Crow. And then the second book is Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow. So I was going to buy the US editions of these books, but when I saw these gorgeous UK editions on Book Depository, I just couldn't resist. And just look at this beautiful naked hardback. I am obsessed. So this is a series, I think it's a middle grade fantasy series by Jessica Townsend, and all I really know about this book is that people have been comparing it to Harry Potter in the way that they feel when reading the book. I think it just brings maybe a sense of nostalgia and the same kind of magical feeling that we all feel when we read the Harry Potter series. But yeah, I cannot wait to read these books in the very near future. Next, I purchased the 3 Dark Crowns series by Kendara Blake, and that series includes 3 Dark Crowns, 1 Dark Throne, and 2 Dark Reigns. So as you can tell, I tend to buy complete fantasy series without reading a page of it to even see if I like them, and that's simply because I have no self-control and I am trash for YA fantasy. But yeah, anyways, I know that this series centers around 3 queens who I believe are triplets, and they are essentially raised so that one day they can sort of battle to the death for the throne of Fenburn. And I've heard that this is like really dark and intense, but also really interesting, so I can't wait to check this out at some point this year. Next books I purchased are The Cruel Prince by Holly Black and The Wicked King by Holly Black. This series just sounds like it's right up my alley. I know it's all about fae, and it centers around Jude, who's actually a human but ends up living in the realm of fae or fairy. And then there's Prince Carden, who is the Cruel Prince, and really all I know beyond that is that there's a lot of twists and turns with this series, and it overall just sounds really cool. And I'm also interested to see how Holly Black's interpretation of fae or fairy compares to Cassandra Clare's interpretation. I've kind of heard that they have similar interpretations. So yeah, I'm just really interested to see how this series so far plays out. The next book I got is The Last Samsara by Kristen Ciccarelli. At least I think that's how her last name is pronounced. Ciccarelli. That's how it's spelled, but maybe there's a more American way of saying it. But yeah, I know next to nothing about this book or this series. I just know that Brittany the Bibliophile here on BookTube really loved this book. She gave it a 5 stars, and she really knows her YA fantasy, so I just bought it because it was pretty cheap on Amazon, and it does seem like something I would really enjoy. The next book I got is actually my January book of the month pick, which is The Night Tiger by Yang Jae Chu. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. Yang Jae Chu? I don't know, I'm sorry. All I know about this book is that there are 2 POVs and that it takes place in 1930s colonial Malaysia, and that there are fantastical elements to it, but it's also like a historical fiction, so given that it's kind of out of my comfort zone, I don't really read a lot of historical fiction, I thought I would give it a shot, and it does sound really interesting. The next book I got is The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I know, how haven't I read this book? This book has been out at least 10 years, and people have been raving about it for that long. I don't really know what this is about, except that it takes place in 1939, and I believe Nazi Germany, but because so many people have been raving about it, I knew that I had to check it out, and I really love this anniversary edition that I got from Amazon. So yeah, I'm super excited to check this out at some point. Then I placed a pretty substantial book outlet order, so the first book I got is Redemption Road by John Hart. And I think the best way to describe this book is by reading the blurb on the back, so I'm just gonna do that. It says, "A boy with a gun waits for the man who killed his mother. A troubled detective confronts her past in the aftermath of a brutal shooting. After 13 years in prison, a good cop walks free as deep in the forest, on the altar of an abandoned church, a body cools in pale linen. This is A Town on the Brink. This is Redemption Road." So this is not normally a book I would pick on my own. This is actually the book club that I'm a part of has picked for the month of January, and we actually start reading it tomorrow, so I am looking forward to see what I think of this book. The next book I got is Aftercare Instructions by Bonnie Pipkin. All I know about this book is that there is a teenage girl named Genesis, and her boyfriend ends up abandoning her at the abortion clinic that she goes to, and I'm really just interested to see where the plot goes from there. Next book I purchased is Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. I have no idea how I have gone through life without reading this book because it's just so popular and it's really short, so I have no excuse. I remember when I was in elementary school that the class that I was in, we had to read the Chronicles of Narnia, but then the other 5th grade class got to read Stargirl, and I was super jealous. But I think the basic premise about this book is that there's this girl, Stargirl, and nobody at her high school understands her. I think she gets bullied a lot, but I'm really interested to see how this plays out, and I'm really interested to see why this is such a popular book. The next book I got is All American Boys by Jason Reynolds. After reading Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds last year, I knew that I had to check out more of his books, so I was really excited to see that this was like $3 on Book Outlet. All I really know about the plot is that it covers police brutality. Also, I just realized that this book is co-written by Brendan Keeley, but I have a feeling that Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley handle this subject in such an amazing way, just like Jason Reynolds handled gun violence in Long Way Down, so I'm just super excited to read this book. The next book I got is Goodbye Days by Jeff Zentner. All I really know about this book is that there's a teen named Carver who has lost his 3 best friends because he sent one of them a text message that then caused his 3 best friends to get in a fatal car accident. I've heard really good things about this book overall, and I'm really looking forward to see what I think of it. The next book I got is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. I don't know a lot about this book except that there are 2 main characters, a boy and a girl, who make each other their emergency contact, and I'm sure they end up falling in love at some point. But this book I feel like is kind of polarizing. I've seen some people who really hate this book and some people who really love this book. I haven't really heard many people just giving this 3 stars. Either love it or they hate it. So I'm really interested to see where I kind of fall on that spectrum. Next book I got is Words on Bathroom Walls by Julia Walton. I think this book is being turned into a movie. I'm not really sure. I think I heard that somewhere, maybe on book Twitter. But all I know about this is that it covers a character named Adam who is schizophrenic, and I've just heard that the schizophrenia rep in this is really well written and really realistic. And lately I've gotten really interested in how YA handles mental disabilities or mental disorders, so I'm really interested to check this out in the future. Okay, y'all, we are almost there. I only have 2 more books to talk about. The first one is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've heard really good things about Tiffany D. Jackson's writing, and this book follows Mary D. Addison, who has allegedly killed a baby. And essentially what has happened is that a white baby died while under the care of a black woman. Mary is the black woman, and essentially the public convicted Mary and the jury made it official, but she never really said if she did it. So I'm really interested to see where the plot goes from there. It sounds like a really hard-hitting novel. And the very last book in this book haul is Nice Try, Jane Center by Leanne Elk, or Ulk. I don't really know how it's pronounce. I really liked the premise of this book. Basically, Jane Sinner has been expelled from high school and she enrolls in community college where she ends up participating in a student-run reality show. And I overall just heard really good things about this book, so I can't wait to check this one out in the near future. And that is it for this massive book haul. I hope you all enjoyed, and also let me know if there are any books in particular that you really want me to read as soon as possible. I would also love it if you would consider subscribing, and don't forget to press that notification bell button below so that you will be notified every time I upload. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye!